In this video, you'll learn about the additional scoring actions and how you can set them up in your lead scoring profile. The additional scoring actions will allow you to degrade a lead or contact score over time as they become inactive with your marketing efforts. If you don't address these settings, then your profile will leave the individual score alone, no matter how many days of inactivity they accumulate. The top settings work together. If set individually, they would not work. The first drop-down will trigger the beginning of the rescore. You'll select a number of days that when they hit this many days of inactivity, their record will begin to rescore. You can view this as setting a grace period before degrading their score. The next drop-down will select the field that will identify the amount of days of inactivity that trigger the initial rescore. This will default to the Sales Fusion Last Activity field, which is a standard trigger market field that updates with the latest marketing activity. This activity includes web hits, email opens and clicks, event activity, form submissions, and landing page visits. You can use an alternative field if you want, but we recommend using this default. The next drop-down will set a time frame for the scoring profile to look back to review the lead's activities and the amount of points they receive per activity. This time frame will work like a rolling window looking back from the present day. And as the window passes past the activity, the individual will lose the amount of points they receive for that activity. For example, if this is set to 120, your profile will look back at the last 120 days of the individual's activity in Sugar Market. If they received 20 points for a form submission 121 days ago, then they will lose 20 points. This time frame should keep in line with your average sales cycle. How long will your sales teams work with the lead until they consider it as dead? The last drop-down is optional, but it will allow you to select a date field that you want to take precedence over the scoring history window. Score events within what you set in the previous drop-down. If the value of this date field is less than the scoring history time, your profile would look at this date instead. This field would likely be custom, such as a renewable date field. There's an asterisk indicating that if both of these fields are used, then the value that is closest to today's date will be used. Keep in mind that the settings we just reviewed all work together, so please plan strategically based on your team's needs. Also, the additional scoring actions do not need to be used but are helpful with making sure your high-scoring leads are currently interested and engaged with your content. There's a checkbox that will set your profile to only score with a new web activity. By default, this is set to off, but you should check this box if you only want this profile to be scored when new web activity occurs. Finally, your profile is set by default to share the score across duplicate contacts if they exist for an individual's email address. The roll-up feature applies to contacts or leads with duplicate email addresses. When a scoring routine occurs and the roll-up feature is checked, then the scoring will look at the records from the CRM to determine the score. It will then update all multiple records with the same score. If this is unchecked, then your profile will only analyze and update one single record at a time. To learn more about the lead stage thresholds, tune into the next video in this series.